Regardless of how you feel about the final season of 13 Reasons Why, there are many reasons to feel a lot of emotion towards specific characters. So many emotional, upsetting, straight-up sad moments happened in the final season, and a lot of them came within the final episode. So in today's video, we're going to talk about this tragic ending. Obviously, a spoiler alert is being issued. If you'd like to see a non-spoiler review, that is on the channel right now in video form, but today we are just talking specifics, and obviously we are going to hit on that tragic death. So in this final season, we saw many characters go through a lot of different emotional states, but the main character, and thankfully, finally, the narrator of this season was Clay. And as we approach graduation at the end of this season, we see Clay go through so much, from vandalizing the school to one of my personal favorite episodes, which was the school shooting drill, to multiple admission essays where he gets a chance to flesh out his thoughts and hash out everything going on in his head. The seniors have finally graduated and moved on from many things, but mostly Bryce's death. But let's start out with the fact that the group agreed to finally open up a bit more to their parents, just to get them off of their backs. We have Clay confessing the fact that he was the one vandalizing the school, Charlie talking about the fact that he's bisexual, Alex admitting to his family that he has a boyfriend, Justin coming clean about his relapse. But when we finally get to prom, that's where the tragedy strikes once again, and Justin, who is reunited with Jessica, we see them dancing together, collapses on the dance floor right after Alex and Charlie are crowned prom kings. So as we have for many seasons of this series, we go from happy, everything's going well for most of the characters, tragedy is officially behind us, and once more, tragedy strikes. This group of kids, they have gone through far too much. So all throughout the season, we were being teased that someone out of our group of characters was going to die as we continued to see the casket. No one expected it to be, well, maybe some did, but no one really expected it to be Justin Foley. So we got that reveal that Justin had contracted HIV-1 as a result of his time on the streets. He was ashamed of his past drug habit, and he had to find a way to make money. So to do that, he had to sell himself. And even though the Jensens paid for his physical examinations, he tried every way to avoid getting tested, because that's up to him. That's not up to the family. So because of that, the infection transitioned into full-blown AIDS. From that, his immune system was weakened, and he got a fungal meningitis and pneumonia. So all throughout the final episode, the Jensens and everyone surrounding Justin, his friends, and really now his family, they sat around, they said their goodbyes, and finally, Justin passed away. He succumbed to his illness that was basically unpreventable. So even though Justin wasn't my favorite character, or I would say many people's favorite character at first, just because he didn't do much to prevent Hannah's suicide, he didn't do much to prevent Bryce Walker from doing what he did to Jessica, he eventually started to turn himself around, and he may have even become the fan favorite by the end, which is why his death had such an emotional impact on so many people. One, just the randomness of it all. No one expected Justin to be the one to pass at the end of the season. My prediction was the fact that it could have been Clay, since he was the stable foundation after season 1. He, for me, someone that didn't love the sequel seasons, was really the only one holding it together. One, because you have Dylan Minnette as a fantastic actor, but two, Clay was that integral character. But then it ends up being Justin. Okay, we go from it being Clay to the possibility of someone else, but I loved and hated simultaneously at the same time that it was Justin, because you have the fact that he and Clay were really enemies at the beginning of the show. On different pages pretty much across the board, they went from what they were to brothers. And you get that final "I love you" from both of them at the end. Justin struggling to say it, Clay also struggling to say it because of the tears, and you see that transition from enemies to not best friends, but basically brothers, adopted brothers by the end. That transition was complete. So that arc, their relationship, both Clay and Justin individually, but together, I thought was wonderful, possibly one of the best arcs of the entire show, and one of the reasons why we were so sympathetic towards Justin at the end, because you could truly tell the man had become a greater person. I mean, Justin, you see where he was at the beginning of the show compared to by the end of season 4 when he was getting clean and he was pursuing college, changing himself. He never got to see those things through, and I think that is the most tragic element of all. And a lot of people will say, well, it's not that this feels random in terms of real life. The writing itself, it's like they had to kill a character off, and maybe you can look at it from that perspective, but the way that they went about doing it, I thought was really well done and well earned, because I think pretty much everyone with some sort of relationship to this show is going to care when Justin passes at the end, and the acting was really good as well. The fact that it took so much for Zach to go in and finally see him dealing with what he's dealing with personally, but seeing his best friend in that position, that's a lot to take in. Now, speaking of Zach, Zach did have somewhat of a happy ending. His coach had a nice conversation with him, talking about his respect for Zach as a person, and even offered him a job to become a coach, and that's an offer that Zach accepted. Now, later on, we saw the announcement that Zach is going to college to study music, and we never got a clear answer on whether he did both of these things, but it is something that could have been jumbled, or something that the writers just forgot to answer. Oh, he's got a coaching job, and he's going to do music. Well, it's one or the other. I don't know. Now, I think the moment that a lot of people are talking about was our brief look at Hannah Baker one last time when the team agrees to bury Hannah's tapes. He kind of locks eyes with her and gets one last glimpse of Hannah Baker, as does the audience. Now, Clay has done this multiple times throughout this season. Right before this scene happened, he had spoken with Justin. Now, Clay did have somewhat of a mental breakthrough by the end of the season, and it looked as if he had gotten past some of these issues he was struggling with mentally. I understand what the filmmaker's intent was. This was Clay's way of letting go, allowing this to happen one more time as he was slowly snapped out of it. But we saw a similar moment in 13 Reasons Why Season 2, and it looked as if that wasn't going to happen again. So it's a curiosity on whether Clay will be able to let go after all of these tragic events, or if he's going to carry this into the future. But he did have quite the struggle with anxiety and schizophrenia throughout this season. That's a hard thing to let go, but thankfully, he did have a great therapist in Dr. Robert Ellman, who is played phenomenally, by the way, by Gary Sinise. These weren't the only integral moments in the finale. We had Clay's graduation speech, which was actually well done. He didn't think he could do it, got a pep talk, pulled through, really well done on his part. We had the fact that Ani did not accept Mrs. Walker's money, which was kind of her final middle finger to Bryce Walker in a way. And the fact that Bryce's death just kind of stopped being pursued prior to the end, which is interesting, to say the least. But hey, these kids went through so much, not only in this season, but over the past 4 seasons, and had to deal with so many deaths and tragedies, and Justin Foley's death was just the final nail in the coffin. Enough is enough. They don't need to go through any more. Please, don't give me another season, because that just means they have to suffer even more. But I would love to know in the comments down below, how did you all feel about the death of Justin Foley? Did it hit you on an emotional level? Did they build it up in such a way throughout this season that worked and paid off for you? And what was your favorite moment of the finale as a whole? Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like these videos talking about the endings of our favorite shows on Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it may be sure to smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out this video, and it tells me you would like to see more. I would love to do more things like this. I'll see you soon.